Guys, so I've been getting some requests to talk about my note-taking and study methods for my IB classes, especially my IB biology class, because it can be really hard for people, and currently I have an A and I work really hard for that A, so I just wanted to share with you guys all of my thoughts, theories, how I take my notes, all that kinds of stuff. Any resource that I talk about, or like textbook, website, I will link below so you guys can find them easily because they took me a long time to find. But yeah, I'm gonna start by showing you guys my binder. So this is my bio binder. My teacher had a specific way we had to do the fronts and the tabs. Yeah, my teacher is actually part of the majority of the reason why I'm doing so well in this class, because of the way she organizes everything and her teaching process. I like to think I'm a little part of it, but she definitely makes this class easier for me. So this is my binder. I have it separated into sections by quarter. So like quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, because that's how many quarters there are in the year, because that makes sense. So the way that I set up my binders is I make these little tabs. I cut them in half and label them so that I know where all my units are. It's easier for me to find them that way. And then I will show the bio website that my teacher has, but basically she posts note packets, and those are what we use to take notes in class. If she doesn't post a note packet, then you take just like normal paper notes, and I do those as well. I will take paper notes if she doesn't post a note packet, if like the unit's smaller, or if the note packet doesn't cover as much information as I think it needs to, or if I find like information on the slideshow that's missing in the notes packet. Let's go to my last unit, which was neurons and movement. We combined 2 units. So the way she sets it up, I'm gonna just hold this up instead of the entire binder, is she gives us a calendar of the unit. So the date, what we're doing in that class, and if anything is due, when it's due. So this is the little structure of what we're doing in that class and all the homework. So this is really helpful if you miss a class. I know when I've missed classes, it's been really useful. And then she also includes the learning objectives. These are also on the website, and I will go through and highlight the important information on these so that they stick out to me. This is an example of our note packet for that unit. So it was a couple pages, front and back, basically just has diagrams. So I will go through, I will pull up my PowerPoint on my computer, and I have these on my desk, and I will write down all the information that is important. I also like to do this the day before, or if it's a weekend, the weekend before we start our unit. So like if I know we were starting our neuron notes in class, like when she goes over our notes in class on Valentine's Day. So I spent the weekend before that doing my notes. That way I had a good basic understanding of the unit, and that was a lot more helpful in order for me to get the most out of her in-class lessons. And while we were doing in-class lessons, I would add little notes to the margins or important information that I missed when I was taking my notes. I just found that to be a really helpful way to synthesize all the information and for me to really remember it better. So yeah, these are the notes packets, and I do my highlighting after as a study method. So I will take all my notes, and then when it's time for me to study a couple days before my test or the weekend before my test, I will go through and highlight my notes so that it's easier for me to study from. For this unit, I also had to take some extra notes on paper without the notes packet, because I found that the notes packet didn't go into detail on a couple of things that I felt I needed more information on. So I took my own separate notes. These aren't super clean or clear, but I just have extra neuron notes, the main idea of the slide I was on, and then like the basic information. These again I highlight afterwards. And then also, since We do a lot of our note taking from PowerPoints. A lot of those PowerPoints, or like the videos we watch from the website that I will show you, have really good visuals, and those are very helpful for me for studying. So I will print them out and annotate and highlight, take notes on these. This is an action potential graph for our neuron unit, and it had the steps labeled out and pictured, labeled on the graph. So this was a really helpful picture for me to study from. So I printed these out from the PowerPoint and was able to study that way. So I think that's all for my binder and my notes in my binder. I'm also going to go over 2 textbooks that I bought for this class. IB Biology Study Guide. This is super useful. It was only like $30 on Amazon. It's for both years. It has all the information for both years for bio, all the HL topics and the normal SL normal topics and SL covers. There we go. Basically, it's just a really clear, concise information from IB directly, so you know you're getting all the information that they want you to, all the specific examples that they want you to. It's organized really clearly based on the section of the textbook, and then all of the other sections thereout. I note which sections I actually use to study from what our lessons are. So basically they look like this. This is the cell biology cell unit. So these are like the topics we went over in class, and this I will go through and highlight, and I will do this as a method for studying for my tests. I do this like the day or 2 before, and then I bring this, since it's so small, I bring this to school with me, and I study at school since I have, my class is at 1 o'clock, so I have time in the mornings and during our study hall to study. So I will bring this with me to school instead of all of my notes, because it's like the more concise, condensed version of the notes. And then I also have this. This one's a lot bigger, so I don't carry this one to school with me. But this is one of the most useful textbooks, workbooks that I've gotten. I use this all the time for every unit. I absolutely love it. It's workbook worksheets, and basically they look like this. These are the ones from the digestion unit. Yeah. So they have really important information, lots of diagrams. I will go through and highlight all of these. I use these as supplemental notes. So I will take my notes, and then I will also do all of these for the unit that we're currently going over. They also have amazing questions. I didn't actually do the questions on this page because I understood the topic really well. These worksheets are absolutely amazing at providing really simple, basic concepts while also going in depth when you need it to, because this is IB. But yeah, I love those worksheets. Use them all the time. So those are kind of like all the resources that I use. I also am going to show you what my online resources look like in another section, so let's go to that. So, like I mentioned in the intro, I wanted to show you guys what my school's website for bio looks like. Like I said, my success in this class is only partly because of what I'm doing. It's actually a majority of what my teachers have set up for me. I love the way they do my class. I am probably going to try to implement this for future classes if my future classes don't do it like this, because I love this method. So basically we have this Google site, IB Bio, kind of clear to see that. Over here we have content and every single unit that we cover. This is the number according to the textbook, and then the title of the unit. So right now we're on our we're just about to start our cellular respiration unit. We had our movement test yesterday. So if I were to open the cellular respiration unit, you would see all of these wonderful documents that she has posted for us. For this unit, we're covering 2 chapters of the textbook, 8.2 and 2.8. So she has 2 note slideshows, and to go along with each of those, a notes packet. And if you opened up these notes packet, we have one for each PowerPoint that we do for every unit. It starts with this understandings, applications, and skills. So these are like the basic concepts you need to know for the class for this unit, and then test style or structured questions for you to answer based on the notes from the PowerPoint. And like I said, you have one for
each PowerPoint that we go, or I guess each chapter from the book. And then we also have these scanned copies from the workbook that I have that I showed before. And then she'll also post good videos to help us, and any other activities that we do in case you miss that class and you need it. They're all available here. So she gets all of the information, or the PowerPoints and the lesson learning objectives, from this website called Bionology. I absolutely love this website. It took me a little bit to figure it out and to start to like it, but I love it now. I use it all the time. So basically, if you go to Core, they have some of the textbook units here, and then additional higher level. Since I'm in AHL Bio, we do cover these units as well. So we have these. So if I were to find the Bionology for this unit for cellular respiration, I would look at either 2.8 or 8.2. So let's look at 8.2. That would be in the additional higher level because it's 8.2, cellular respiration. I would just click on that, and it takes me to this page. Listed here are those same understandings, applications, and skills from before. And then this, when it loads, is the same PowerPoint that she has posted with all information. And if my teacher takes out a slide or adds a slide, those are different from this, so I will always check this slideshow as well to see if there's any missing information that I think is important. And the creator of the website, Chris Payne, has made Quizlets for each unit, so you can click View the Set, and up pops all of the flashcards that he's made, and these are really great for studying basic terms. If you're not understanding a concept, these are really, really helpful. So yeah, basically I will just explain my process of how I take my notes and how I study using all of these resources that I just listed. So yeah, let's go.
So now that we've seen all the resources and I've done a little bit of information throughout about how I use them, I'm going to go and right now do a step-by-step of what I do for notes, and then step-by-step what I do for studying. So let's start with notes. The first thing that I do for my notes is I go to the website for that unit, usually right after we have the test for the prior unit. And I'll go through, I will print out all the note packets, look at all of the PowerPoints and the website from Chris Payne, and I will just kind of look at all the information, try to get some of it in my head, but I'm not worried about taking notes really yet, just trying to get a basic understanding of what the next unit is about. Then the day or two after our test, usually after that first day of class after the test, I will take all of my notes that night. If it's, say I have a test on Friday and then I have the weekend before my next class on Tuesday, I will take the weekend to do those notes instead of doing them that class or after that class. But if I have a test on Wednesday and then class on Friday, I will wait until after that class on Friday, or if I have a test on Monday and then class on Wednesday, I'll wait until that class that night to take all my notes. So I will basically go through the entire PowerPoint, take all my notes, get as much of them done as I can. That way I have a really nice background information for what we'll be covering that unit. So the way that my teacher does notes in class, or lectures, I guess, but they're not because we're in high school, basically, she'll go in order of the main topics. So for neurons, it was how does an active action potential work, what are synapses, and those were the two main things that she was covering. So one day we went over action potentials, and one day we went over synapses, and then the first day was just a basic what is a neuron, how do they work, what they look like. So we spent 3 class days going over information for that. Say we're going over synapses on Friday. I know that because of the schedule that she prints out. Wednesday or Thursday night, or both of them, I'm going to take my notes on synapses and do my supplemental worksheets and watch the videos so that I know what she's talking about more in depth, and I've built my knowledge before she goes over it in class. And then when she goes over in class, I pull out my notes packet and I go through and I write down anything that's important that she's mentioned or stressed or information I didn't know before she went over it, that kind of stuff. Then that night, I will look over them before doing the next section's extra notes. So that's basically the whole note-taking process. That's how I do it. That's what works for me. I found that it's been really helpful in order for me to build my knowledge and have really deep understandings of topics, and especially because I'm thinking of going into nursing, I need to be able to hold these concepts in my head for a long time. I can't just forget how neurons work because I might need them for nursing school and in my life as a nurse. So trying to really cement this knowledge into my head using this process has been really helpful. So then when it comes to studying, that is an entirely different process. So I know my test date by the beginning of the unit because of the little lesson plan that she prints out for us. So I will look at what day it's on. If it's on a Monday, I will block out that weekend and that Thursday and Friday for studying. If it's on Tuesday or somewhere in the middle of the week, I'll block out about 3 to 4 days ahead of it for studying, especially that night before. I know a lot of people don't think that's a good way to study, but I find that it's actually really helpful for me to do a bulk of studying the night before my test and then do nothing that day. It sounds really strange, but if I have a test on Friday, I will do a lot of studying that night. And then at school that morning and in study hall, I don't focus on studying for that test because I know all the information is already in my brain, and the only thing I'm going to do by studying extra hard is stress myself out. So I just do the majority of the hard push studying the night before and don't worry about waking up early in the morning or getting to school early or doing any of the stuff the day of the test. So the way I study is I go through my notes and I highlight all of them. Highlighting is a really good way for me to be able to see what information jumps out at me, what's important, what I need to make sure I know. And then I also use my study guide to go over and make sure I'm getting the important information. I just highlight and annotate that. And then also my teacher posts the lesson objectives. Like I said, I will turn that into my own study guide. So basically I'll group the objectives into sections and then make a box in a Google document. I will pull up or record what that looks like here. So basically I will section them into parts and then put them into boxes that main idea, and then I print this out and I hand write all the information into it. Handwriting is really important for me to be able to remember details. So I'll print it out and then write all my information. I don't look at my notes. I don't look at my PowerPoints. I see what I can do just from my head, and that's really helpful. That study guide I also will highlight and use for that night. So I make sure I have it done a couple days in advance. What else? Oh, I use the Quizlets on the websites for any definitions and terms for the multiple choice parts of our tests. And then my teacher is also good about posting question types with mark schemes. So she'll post an 8-mark question and then give us the possible points that we could get. So I'll practice by testing myself on those questions. Again, not using my notes, not using my study guide, just seeing if I can get as many points as I need to get full points on that question just from my head. So far those have been really helpful, and the questions on the test tend to be pretty similar to them, so I'm really thankful for her for posting those. And then I also know a couple friends who use IB test banks to find questions. I think that is everything. It's a very long video, and I'm sorry for that. I think that's pretty much my entire note-taking and studying process for my IB biology class. I'm in the first year, I'm only a junior, but I plan to keep this process up through my senior year. I know that if my teacher next year has a different style, I can still access the Bionology page and get all my information and slideshows from that I used this year. So I think that'll be really helpful for me in the future, and I hope this was helpful for some of you guys. Sorry for such the long video, like I said before, but my process is just long and annoying. But hopefully it can help you guys raise your grades or keep your grades where they are. I'm really happy with my grades from using this method, and I hope that this was interesting to you guys. So yeah, thank you.